After a slow start, the San Jose Barracuda are starting to put things together.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen, proudly part of the Locked On Network, the number one sports podcast network out there, where we cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Today, we're going to be diving into the San Jose Barracuda, the Sharks AHL team. We're going to be talking a lot about players like Quentin Musty, Igor Chernyshov, and how this team is starting to find their footing after a little bit of a slow start. We have Lachlan Irvine from Canucks Army, who watched the Barracuda play the Canucks last week in Abbotsford, and he'll be on discussing what he saw. Plus, we'll dig into some of the issues that are still plaguing this Barracuda team and what they need to do to clean things up here. So before we get to all that, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So the San Jose Barracuda, we want to discuss them because a lot of important pieces that are hopefully sooner rather than later going to be making an impact with the San Jose Sharks here. As a team that is, as we expected, right, with so many new pieces and so many young players, a little bit off to a little bit of a rough start, but have righted the ship as of late. As this Barracuda team now in the last 10 games has gone 6-2-1 during that time. And including they had a nice 5-game win streak on the road. But this team, though, is like, you have a lot of young pieces, and we've talked about how during the offseason, right, you lost Askarov, who's now, making his impacts in the NHL. You lost Andrew Podorowski, who was the literal league MVP, who's now overplaying in the KHL. And that there was going to be some big shoes to fill by a lot of new players. And you're starting to see some of these players kind of fill into those shoes. Guys like Quentin Musty, Igor Chernyshov, Kasper Halttunen, Cam Lund, like those 4 rookies really starting to make a bigger and bigger impact as we get deeper and deeper into this Barracuda season. And I think that's the big key for this team, right? Is how do these young players really kind of fill in and start to, get used to playing professional hockey? Because for most of these guys, they might have got a taste last year. You think of Cam Lund, who played in the Sharks after signing his ZLC. Chernyshov and Musty both got to play at the end of the season in the Barracuda's playoffs a little bit. And Halttunen, who played, a handful of games last year before going back to the OHL. All these guys are really kind of going through it now for the first time, for and the maybe the excitement of playing professional hockey. Not that it's not exciting, but that kind of first adrenaline, first excitement is wearing off, and you're settling into being a professional hockey player now. And with it, you're seeing progression, not only from these players, but from the team as well. And this Barracuda team, I think, is going to be, started to play much better hockey. They still have some issues, and we'll talk about those at the end. But this team, is a team that is going to, I think, continually get better as long as those kind of 4 core players continue their progression. And of course you have Luca Cagnoni, who we'll talk plenty about as well. But let's start with Quentin Musty, who is really, I think, kind of all the players, I think his progression has been the most exciting out of what you've seen, because he was honestly the guy who I thought was going to take maybe the longest to kind of get up to speed. And he's the guy who's really found his footing as of late, playing with the Barracuda. He's mostly been playing with Chernyshov and Beasted down the middle, but Musty's development, right? And he's a guy who he's always been, I've said it a bajillion times, right? Bigger, faster, stronger type of player, right? Where he has always been that type of, especially playing in juniors where he's just been bigger, faster, stronger. And now that he's playing against grown men who a lot of them are just as big, just as fast, and just as strong as him. How would he develop and how would he continue his progression? And he is starting to figure things out. And I think his recent play is a big reason why the Barracuda have started to figure this thing out. I did a whole article on Musty, one of his games recently. I think it was against the Wranglers, where you see the skills that made Musty so tantalizing in the OHL. You see those starting to translate, right? And especially his ability in his game in the transition, and his ability to create space for his line mates by sucking in but getting the defensemen to kind of draw in towards him and opening up ice elsewhere. Musty is excellent at that. And I don't see why that skill won't continue to get better. It won't eventually translate to the NHL. His ability to draw defenders and create open ice for his teammates. And one of the skills, or one of the interesting things with Musty, is his transition to not just like the way he is scoring goals. Saw a lot in the O, right, where he would just come down, especially off the rush, and just shoot and score a lot of sick goals that way, which is great. You're gonna score plenty of goal, that way, but you're seeing Musty turning into more of that power forward, get to the net, score some of those greasy goals, which is, as weird as it sounds, is more a sustainable way to score goals, right? Is getting to that and getting those 5-foot goals and just being, that big body presence. And Musty is learning that part of the game, right? And kind of rounding out that. And if you think about where he fits in the Sharks, you have Celebrini, who's going to be play driver, goal scorer. You have Will Smith, who's got a hell of a shot as well. But if Musty eventually wants to play on that line, you need someone like a Tyler Toffoli who can crash to the front of the net, score some of those greasy goals, still has a great shot, but being that kind of bigger body guy who can get to the net and score that way. And I think that's the role that we're seeing Musty kind of getting trained for. So Musty's off to a great start. Chernyshov, who had a hat trick as well, his ability, I think, to just kind of be that whatever you need type of player, that line connector, you're seeing that here as well. Like his ability, the chemistry between Musty and Chernyshov already. We spent all summer, who's going to be better, Chernyshov or Musty? They're both great, and right now they're playing together, and that line has been excellent for the Barracuda, and continues to be so. And as we discussed with Cam Lund, who dealt with an injury and came back, he took a puck to the face. He's wearing the bubble right now. We got bubble Lund. You're seeing him put very similar into the spots that Colin Graff was last year, right? Where you're going to play, top line. You're playing usually with a more established person. I think, he's been playing a lot with like Colin White's of the world, where you're going to get some big time opportunities, but we're also going to put you in different situations. You've seen Cam Lund playing on the PK. You've seen him do a lot of those different things as well to kind of continue like the finishing school to polish out his game and get him ready to kind of be that next call up, right? And I could see if Osapchuk doesn't do well, and Jeff Skinner, it sounds like Jeff Skinner is going to be back a little bit sooner than we might have imagined. But you could see where Lund, as he kind of finishes this out, could be that next kind of call up where not only does he call up, he stays up, right? Because his ability, if you're not scoring, what else can you do for me? You're seeing him to really kind of finish out his game right now and be a bigger part of that. So I think so far, like as these young players continue their maturation, you're seeing them really hone into their new roles and what their expectations are, not only for the Barracuda, but then getting ready for when they become NHL players and filling those roles when they become NHL players. So good to see from the Barracuda. Not only are they winning, but you're seeing these important pieces becoming bigger parts of what this team is going to be. So we're going to talk to our friend Lachlan here in just a minute, where get some of his observations from watching the Barracuda play the Abbotsford Canucks. So we'll discuss that here. We'll also talk a little bit Canucks, his little envy of the Sharks and the kind of the rebuild they're going through. And then we'll finish up kind of talking about what this Cuda team is doing really well and where this Barracuda team needs to get better as they continue throughout the season. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or just want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game more exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Just head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And now we bring in old friend Lachlan Irvine of Canucks Army to discuss what he saw as the Barracuda played Abbotsford Canucks last week. Want to get his thoughts. It's always good to get an outside perspective. So, Lachlan, how's it going, buddy? It's been a while since we've talked.
It's been good, JD. It has been a long time since I've been on the show last. I think it's been a while since we've talked as well. But yeah, this is a throwback to the Fear of the Fin days for us.
Yes, very much that. And then I remember sitting in my closet talking to you about, we talked about Star Wars and specifically The Mandalorian, how excited we were about this show.
That's
and
right.
Now look, they got a movie coming out here pretty soon. Like, look, time flies.
That's right.
Buddy.
I forgot about that. That was a Creasecast episode. I think that was a while back.
That was a Creasecast way back in the day. Yes.
Oh man, that show's unfortunately been dead for a while. But you never know. It might come back someday. We'll see.
Yeah, I know. You should just rebrand it all Star Wars. Yes, the Creasecast Star Wars edition. There we go. Or just get. Here you go. You just get hockey players on to talk Star Wars with you. There's your.
Absolutely. Like Adam Gaudette, who you're familiar with. He's a big Star Wars guy.
Familiar with.
He has a few Star Wars tattoos, I believe.
He does. Yes.
From the time in Vancouver.
He's got a nice sleeve there. Yes. But we're not here to talk about Star Wars and Gaudette because we would be here for like 7 hours talking about Star Wars between the two of us. But I wanted to get your thoughts again. Like, as Sharks fans, we always overhype, and every franchise as fans are guilty of this, of overhyping your own prospects. So I thought it was nice to get someone who went to the game, covers the game. He covers all things Canucks hockey. So let's start with the big guys, right? We know Quentin Musty, Igor Chernyshov, two of the big prospects who are hoping to make a name sooner rather than later. I know Musty had a goal in this game. So let's start with Quentin Musty. What were your thoughts watching him for the first time?
Well, I thought he was very impactful. Like, I'm looking at the Canucks and the Barracuda. Honestly, it's a little bit of a hard time to judge too much off those players and the team and everything based on the Abbotsford Canucks team they're playing, which is lost, I believe, 11 of their last 12 or 12 of their last 13, something like that. I happened to go to the one game where they won. Aku Koskinvoa had a really good game for the Canucks, his AHL debut. And, Quentin Musty had a goal. The biggest takeaway I had from, frankly, that whole group, though, with the Barracuda is just how much faster and how much more aggressive on the puck they looked compared to Abbotsford. Abbotsford, they were a Calder Cup champion last year. They lost a lot of players, a lot of pieces, and are losing pieces every day, really, with how many injuries the Canucks have had this season. And so just like watching the Barracuda, who have obviously gone through the Sharks' whole rebuild, they are clearly building for the future. They have a lot of young pieces in there. They're not necessarily gunning to win a Calder Cup per se, or at least that's not their main focus. Their main focus is to try and develop as many prospects as humanly possible. Just seeing what Musty could do on the ice, what that power play could do on the ice was very noticeable. Like just seeing that they moved the puck way better than Abbotsford could. It took a lot of effort for Koskinvoa to make saves because they were doing a really good job of getting cross ice passes in through on the power play as well, and overall just possession. Their puck possession was just so much better, and just their ability to just hem the Canucks in for long periods of time. They didn't give the Canucks many opportunities going the other way. A lot of the Abbotsford's chances came off of rushes up until the empty net goal, or the Canucks pulled the goaltender, tied it late. It was pretty much the Canucks just having to get a shot in as quickly as humanly possible. With Musty, he has a goal in this game, and it's because he's faster. He's got that extra talent and that extra little bit of ability to create that a lot of the Abbotsford Canucks just can't keep up with.
Yeah, and like that. Oh, like you saw that. My big thing with Musty and spending some time in the OHL is he's always been a bigger, faster, stronger player, right? He's always bigger, faster, stronger than the guys that he's played with, and now playing against men, you're starting to see that come out more and more, which was kind of the big step for him from going from playing in the O last year with Sudbury to playing now professional, and hopefully sooner rather than later playing in the NHL. Chernyshov also, kind of a big part of that line as well, and kind of does a little bit more of the dirty work, I think, between those two guys. But like you see the chemistry there. One guy I wanted to ask about you is one Luca Cagnoni, who's every Sharks fan's favorite defenseman, right? Not the biggest guy out there, 5'9". Talking to Cagnoni, his favorite player, the guy that he watches the most, is some guy named Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes, who you would probably
Quinn Hudson's coming. He's
coming too. Yeah, there's too many of them.
There's too many Quins, Kales, and
yeah, Hudson Hughes, the Huts eyes. But Luca Cagnoni, right, who the Sharks fans are dying for him to get into the NHL. And I have always said with these smaller defensemen, when they get to the NHL, they don't make it or they're extremely good. Luca Cagnoni's game, what do you remember? What can you recall from that game?
Well, with a player of Cagnoni's caliber, I remember mostly they gave him a penalty. They gave him a shootout opportunity. That's a big one that sticks out. Which, how many defensemen get shootouts? Get called up in the shootout?
Not very many. Yeah,
not very many. Not very many, and there's reason for that. But also, if the coach trusts you enough as a defenseman to put you in on a penalty shot, that tells you something. That tells you something good. It's It didn't go in for him in this particular case, but that's not really the point. The point is just that clearly he has already, just in his short time in the AHL, he already has a level of trust from the coaching staff, from the Sharks organization, that he's going to be something for them. The thing that a player like him has to be very cautious of, obviously, is always making sure he has the time and space. You have to be that crucial step. Like when I watch Quinn Hughes play, and this year especially, I've been watching Quinn Hughes, frankly, more this year than I have in recent seasons, because of the fact that we don't know how much longer he's going to be a Vancouver Canuck for. So you got to kind of really soak it in. With Hughes, you watch how he moves the puck, how he separates himself from checkers, and how he's able to create that time and space for himself that other guys can't. And that comes from not only being able to obviously have the physical side, being faster, being able to, but it's also being able to think on your feet and think 2 steps ahead of everybody. With Cagnoni, he's going to have to be that same type of player. He's going to have to be someone who can think 2 extra steps ahead. If he's making a pass, he's already thought about that pass 2 seconds ago. He knows exactly where it's going every single time. And I think and I think just based off of watching him play and seeing him work on just in both at 5-on-5 and in special teams, I think he has those pieces. Adapting them to the NHL, obviously you have to be that 10% faster and you have to think 10% quicker, but that comes with reps, and he'll get those reps in San Jose for sure. Like San Jose is obviously a team that is going to always give give the players the time they need to develop and the time to learn as well.
Yeah. All right. Before we get you out of here, because you have a bajillion teams you have to cover here, anybody else stand out to you, or anything else stand out to you from this game? Again, we know this Abbotsford team not in a great position here, and this Barracuda team, as we'll talk about here in a little bit, still kind of suffering some of the same issues. But anything else from this game kind of stand out to you?
Another defenseman that looked quite good in that game was Lucas Carlson. He had himself a pretty good night as well. Like, you noticed him, especially on the power play. I think he had his goal. His one goal was a really good shot on the power play that just Koskinen had no shot on. Obviously, I like to talk goalies. Carrier looked quite decent. It was obviously taking the loss. He probably will look back on that as, oh God, I'm the only goaltender to lose to the Abbotsford Canucks all year. But yes. It's not his fault. That's just how it goes sometimes. He had a good night overall. I think with the Barracuda and the Sharks as a whole, I will say, for people who don't pay attention to what's going on outside of San Jose as much, it's what the Sharks are doing is quite good, and something that honestly I wish the Canucks took a page out of, which is being willing to be patient and willing to stay the course, even off of seasons where things aren't going well. Because I've seen it in Vancouver for the last decade plus, really, where the Canucks have often just chased this idea of, oh, we just want to kind of squeak into the playoffs. We're gonna, if we get in there, something cool could happen, kind of thing. Yep. And you watch as they kind of keep pushing that rock up the hill, only for it to roll back down at the end of the year, because there's just nothing there long term. And so if with the Sharks, it seems like they've understand that it's okay to take the lumps now, because if they're building properly and they're doing things the right way, they will get a winner eventually. And I mean, we're already seeing it with the Sharks, where I believe they're currently ahead of the Canucks in the standings, unless I'm mistaken.
They're pretty close last time I checked.
They are closer than I think any Canucks fan thought they were going to be, or
would want to admit, I think,
or would want to admit. It's been a big talking point this year,
it's how 20-19, but the Canucks have played one more game, so they're tied at point percentage right now.
Right.
So there you go.
And for everyone in Vancouver, like, that's been an alarm bell raised, and it's bringing up the question again of if the Canucks should be going the route the Sharks have gone. Same thing with Chicago, with Utah Anaheim being another team, and Anaheim, a great example. Like, all of those teams who have done things the right way, who have who have taken the time. That's something that is treasure that building process, I would say, to a degree, even if it's not the most fun on the results side of things. At the end of the day, that's the kind of stuff that's going to get you to being a Stanley Cup contender down the road.
Yep. You want to be the next Avs, you want to be the next Lightning, you want to be the next one of those teams. You don't want to be the Seattle Kraken who makes it 1 year and then they're a mediocre team for the next bajillion years. So
yeah.
Lachlan, I've taken up too much of your time. Where can the people find you? I know you've got a new Substack that you're really excited about. The time is all yours, buddy.
Well, thank you. Well, you can find my writing on CanucksArmy.com. I'm a backup writer for the Stanchies, which I humbly believe is the best post-game article in all of the National Hockey League. Me and Wyatt Arndt, and we put a lot of time and love into that series. Go read it. Even if you're not a Canucks follower, it's worth your time.
It's great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, and especially when they do play the Sharks, always good to go check it out as well. And I also I write regular articles for them as well. And you can find me on Substack as well. I just started at luckofthecrease.substack.com. I just started covering the Vancouver Golden Eyes of the Professional Women's Hockey League. They had their training camp last week, and their very first game here in Vancouver on Friday. And city's excited for it, and so am I.
All right, buddy. We'll talk again soon.
All right. Take care.
Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've heard them all before. It's just stress. I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. When it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. That's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. They prescribe your treatments, shipped discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private. It's all handled by real doctors. So visit Rugiet.com. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet, RUGIET.com/LockedOnNHL. Don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL. That way they know that we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. All right. Before we continue, of course, want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Again, part of the Locked On Network, the #1 sports podcast network out there. When you're done with this episode, go check out the Locked On NHL Game Night. They cover every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion's crowned. Get local analysis on national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcast. So with this Barracuda team and watching it, there's still a lot of the same things that we saw from last year are still kind of carrying over this year. And we'll start with the positives first. And the power play continues to be a positive for the San Jose Barracuda. This is one of the best power play units in the AHL. Excuse me. Currently, they are 4th in the AHL when it comes to the power play. Yes, it's still early in the season, but that continues to see what we saw from last year, right? Milwaukee, Colorado, the Silver Knights, and then the San Jose Barracuda. Barracuda are operating at 25.9%. This season. They have been getting a ton of power play opportunities. They have had 58 of them so far early in the season. So they have been doing a good job of drawing penalties. And then once they draw penalties, they've been able to capitalize on them. The problem is the penalty kill, which has been woeful to start the season. And they've been taking a fair amount. They're not the worst like that. I think they've done a little bit better this year at kind of limiting the penalty minutes compared to previous years, where they're kind of in the middle of the pack this year with 201 penalty minutes compared to some years where we've seen them up higher. So they've done a little bit better job of that, but the penalty kill has been absolutely woeful. They're at 64.7%, which is dead last. Abbotsford, who is the worst team in the AHL right now, if we just talked with our friend Lachlan about, they're second to last at 71.2%. So they're a whopping 6-7 points below the worst team in the NHL or in the AHL when it comes to the penalty kill. So this is something where John McCarthy and his team need to figure this out, and it's frustrating because you have guys like Philby said and Ethan Cardwell who are excellent penalty killers, but I think they're still struggling on the back end, kind of like what we saw with the Sharks, where they're still kind of struggling on the back end to try to find with so many new pieces in and out of the lineup on the blue line. I think they're still trying to work out that end. So, and when it comes to the penalties, while they have been doing a better job at not getting penalized, it's the timing of it, right? And going back to this Abbotsford game that they lost, Quentin Musty and Philby said both take really bad penalties with less than 5 minutes to go in the third period that allows Abbotsford to climb back into this game. And I think that those type of penalties, right? Those kind of knucklehead penalties, especially late, where those are controllable. A lot of those are controllable penalties. And I think that's something that John McCarthy and his staff are going to need to continue to harp on, is being smart, especially in critical situations. And, especially as these players start to move on to the NHL, right? We know if a young player makes those type of mistakes, they're going to end up being press boxed, and you need to clean up those type of decision making and those type of things in the AHL, so that way when you get to the NHL, you're not making those same mistakes and you're not putting your team in a bad situation. And then Quentin Musty, who we all can't wait to see in the NHL, is not just sitting in the press box because he took a bad penalty late in the third period type of thing. So those are big things that I think that Barracuda need to clean up. We have seen like I said, we've seen the defense, I think, start to play much better as of late, and especially, again, kind of like what the Sharks went through, where you have just so many new pieces on the blue line. You're starting to see a lot of those new pieces start to gel. And I know you have some holdovers from last year with guys like Lucas Carlson and Luca Cagnoni, but, and Jake Furlong, who's, back. But, you do have a lot of new guys coming in and trying to kind of figure out their roles, and guys like Cole Clayton, Matthias Havler, like a lot of these guys trying to figure out where they fit in and how they fit in with this blue line. And, the Barracuda, just like every AHL team, they lost some big names from last year, and it took a little bit for them to, I think, kind of gel. But I do think this team, if as currently constructed, should be a playoff team. I think, especially with these young guys like Chernyshov and Musty continuing to play the way that they're playing. And as much as I want to see Musty and Chernyshov in the NHL, playing most of the season in the AHL, where they're going to be big time contributors and rounding out their games, I still think it's the best path for them. Even, and then after the trade deadline, where if guys get, shipped off, and then you can bring them up and see how they perform, that's fine. But I want to see them play in the AHL or play in the NHL. I still think spending some time for those guys, spending some time in the AHL isn't the worst thing for them. Our boy Luca Cagnoni, though, please get him up to the NHL as soon as possible. He's so good. He's so freaking good. But that's going to be it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow. Of course, we'll have a preview for as these Sharks are back home now. So we'll get you guys ready for the Sharks game, and we'll have a reaction to that as well. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Special thanks to Lachlan for, of course, go check out his Substack. It'll be in the description as well. But yeah, until tomorrow. Bye, friends.